What's up, everyone? I'm Shane Salonici, and this is OK What's Next, the show where we're diving into the crazy world of Web3 and attempting to answer the question everyone in Web3 is asking, what's next? On today's episode, we're talking to Jamie Parmenter, the CEO of Real Nifty. So without further ado, roll the intro.
What's next? What's next? What's next?
And we are joined with Jamie Parmenter, the CEO of Real Nifty. Jamie, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you, Shane. It's great to be here. I'm a big fan of the show, so I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining. It's always a lot of fun having someone like yourself in the Web3 space come onto the show and talk about what they're working on and some of your views on the Web3 world as we know it. So let's kick this off right away. So to start things off, tell me about yourself. What is your background a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So like many people in Web3, we all come from different backgrounds. There's just so many differing people. It's a fantastic space to be in. So I primarily come from a music-based background, more of the music business side. I've been in and out of radio stations and media outlets throughout most of my career. And like a lot of people, I was in quite a lot of failed bands when I was younger. So I'm sure you can try and look up some of those online. I know that our growth manager, Zach, actually managed to find some of my old really embarrassing music and put it out on one of our Twitter spaces a few weeks ago while I was talking about something. So there's going to be some payback coming there at some point. But so from this music background, I then branched out to starting my own website based around music called Vinyl Chapters, which was based around the concept of music and community. And what I would actually do is get people to hold up a record, and then they tell me about why they chose that record. And then I'd take a photo and put it on this Instagram account and website, and just built up this fantastic community around that. And it just led me to find so many interesting stories. People would really open up about how music affected their lives. And it just really opened the doors for me about how communities can build in such a fantastic way. And this in time grew, and it turned into more of an online magazine with music reviews, interviews and features. And that's when I started getting more into music and technology. And that's what actually led me towards NFTs. I found this NFT drop for the rock band Kings of Leon, which featured a vinyl record, which was right up my street. I think you might remember it was a couple of years ago now. And it was kind of one of the first physical and digital NFTs that I'd seen. So I thought, right, I'm going to get this. I'm going to teach myself how to get an NFT and learn more about Web3. And so I purchased this NFT, and I actually wrote an article about it for Vinyl Chapters to take my audience through the whole process, all the good points, all the bad points. And at this time, with the physical and digital side of NFTs, it was still a bit awkward. The process wasn't as easy as it can be or as it is now. So the physical vinyl actually took about 10 months to arrive, and the company was trying to charge $100 for delivery outside the US, which was crazy. So on that note, I kind of wrote this all into the article, and the BBC website took some quotes from me, and then I started getting contacted by a lot of different people, and just really threw myself into the Web3 space and started connecting with a lot of different people. And that's where I met the founder of Real Nifty, where we were both on the same wavelength when it came to physical and digital. And the rest is history. I've been with the company ever since, growing and improving and getting to where we are today.
It's crazy hearing the stories of how people got into the Web3 space is always so interesting to me, because it's literally so many different paths that people have taken. Kings of Leon, I think that was the very first real mainstream band that made the jump into Web3. And it's crazy that was a couple of years ago now, because it feels like it was truly yesterday.
Yeah.
Web3 moves so fast, but at the same time, it just moves so slow.
Yeah, it's that ongoing comparison, isn't it? That people say 1 week in Web3 is like a year, but at the same time, there's so many builders out there. There's so many people taking the time to improve this technology, and it does need improving. We've got the basics down, but there's certain areas that we really need to improve on to be able to help those transition from Web2 to Web3 and really find those utilities that are available within it. And there's lots we haven't discovered yet that Web3 is going to be able to do. So it's just such an exciting space at the moment.
And I can relate to the story that you mentioned about someone putting your old music on a Twitter space. I did a really, I can't even say a C level or a C list horror movie. It's probably like Z list and really, really cheesy. I did this back in college, and some of the other podcast hosts decided to find the clip and put it in one of our episodes a little while back. So it's always funny when the old stuff does surface. But yeah, that's really cool stuff. So yeah, let's talk about the music industry in regards to Web3 a little bit. So we saw obviously Web3 and NFTs. A lot of us really got into it because of like the fine art industry. I know me personally, I came up through Nifty Gateway, and then it went to the PFP collections, and we just see the space evolving. The music industry, yeah, it is making its way into the Web3 space, but it hasn't made that same jump and gotten mainstream success similar to some of these other industries. Why do you think this is the case?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I definitely think there's lots of different ways to actually delve into this. I mean, for me, it feels like the music industry needs to be accepted and the benefits need to be seen, but also it needs to be noted that Web3 may not be for all artists or the record companies themselves. I mean, if we take it back to when the early 2000s, for example, when streaming first started out, it actually took quite a long time for them to be accepted, especially by the record labels. They kind of felt that they were stealing a lot of their money, a lot of the artists that would then not have to use these record labels. And as you know, like now, it's kind of got to this equilibrium between these two platforms, and I think that's going to be the way that it's going to happen with music and Web3. I mean, at the moment, we have got some great platforms out there, but I still do feel that it's going to take a while for them to become more mainstream. We've got Audius that some people may have heard of, for example. It's kind of like a streaming platform that's a Web3 version of Spotify, but they've been growing and evolving for a while now, but I still think they've got a way to go before it becomes more mainstream. And I feel that Web3 is a chance for artists to really have more control over their music, which is a great thing. But at the same time, it's a great way when the technology gets to a more substantial level for a royalty-based system to be portrayed through the blockchain, for example. At the moment in the traditional music industry, a lot of the systems, I would say, are very antiquated. They haven't really changed since, say, the 60s, 70s, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to how artists receive their payment. And the blockchain and Web3 really has a chance to change the situation. I mean, imagine an artist being able to, as soon as their track is played on the radio, the royalties can be sent automatically via blockchain to, say, the artist themselves, to the writer, to the record label involved. And there's just going to be so much more transparency within that system. And it's fantastic to see. But on the flip side as well, I can see it from a record label's perspective. Like I mentioned earlier, they're probably getting a bit scared of, like, oh, there's going to be certain artists that don't need us anymore. They can do this all themselves, which I can see for some is going to be a major worry. But at the same time, I feel that it gives artists that choice. not all artists want to take complete control of their entire job. They might want to just concentrate on the art side. They might want to just do the music, write the music, go and perform, that kind of thing. And that's why I feel personally that record labels are still going to be needed in that respect. They're going to have to evolve, yes, but there's going to be people that still need record labels. They don't have any hand on the marketing. Some people just don't know how to market themselves. They don't want to market themselves. And that's where record labels come in. But also, you see some record companies these days that are trying to delve into the blockchain themselves, and they're even writing into new artist contracts that, for example, any money you make from NFTs, we have to get 50% of those payments. So it's kind of like,
Wow.
it's getting to a stage now where that I don't like how that's happening, but at the same time, you can see them clutching at straws to try and keep the money, keep that greed going, I guess, in a way. So it's I think for me that's the reason why it's taken longer for the music industry to really get involved in Web3, because there's so many unknowns and there's so many different areas that are really coming together to try and figure out what's best for everyone.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I haven't really thought about it in that sense with how many moving pieces there are. The record labels working that into contracts now is very interesting. By any chance, do you know what is a typical percentage that a record label will take from a new artist?
Well, in terms of NFTs and that kind of thing.
No, in terms of just like when an artist signs on with a record label,
Right.
is there a range that's typical for a record label to take?
Well, it all depends really on how well known the artist is. Usually, with the first one or two albums, the artist really doesn't make much money because the record labels, especially the majors, are taking a big gamble on this artist. So they would throw a lot of money into it, and therefore the contract to the artist is probably not as favourable as it would be. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times they're going to take big hits on these kind of contracts, but it's like publishing as well. They're focusing on those artists that are going to make a lot of money, and probably one out of say 100 would actually start making them the big bucks. Whereas they put 99 of those are probably not going to make them much. So it's a game of averages really. So they would start off probably not making much money and then gradually build it up and up. And obviously this doesn't work for a lot of people in the sense that for the artists that are coming up, they want to be able to afford to make their music. They want to be able to carry on and fund their creativity, and it's not helping them. And especially with platforms like Spotify at the moment, as I'm sure you may have heard, like artists that aren't that well known really make like pennies from Spotify, which is crazy. And then you get artists like Taylor Swift who make millions from it. So it's really an unfair advantage, and that's why platforms like Audius are trying to make that more of a viable option for people to go on these streaming platforms and actually make money from them. And then, obviously, the other avenue that this is great to discuss is how involved the artists would get with the marketing of Web3 themselves. And when it comes to, say, major artists that are already known and are already making money in the industry, a lot of these, I mean, there's been a good example recently was Chris Brown, who threw himself, well, I wouldn't say threw himself into Web3. He tried to go into Web3 by creating a collection, and a lot of people thought his collection would be absolutely huge. He has, I believe, 114 million followers on Instagram, and his first NFT collection actually sold 246 out of 10,000.
Wow.
So yeah, so it wasn't great. And the reason for this was he failed to see his audience. He didn't really get involved with NFTs. He didn't learn anything about Web3 before he went in. He just thought probably that it was a quick money making scheme that he could leverage his community. And obviously his community didn't see that. He marketed it on the wrong way and it just completely fell flat. So when you're these artists and want to get involved, you really have to take control of getting involved in the industry, figuring out who your audience is, learning about Web3, and joining in all these communities. Joining in those Twitter spaces, joining in those Discord platforms. It's something you've got to get really involved with, and the community needs to see that you have those utilities and you're willing to really sort of give your super fans something really special.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue. Personally, the issue that I kind of see with where and how artists and the music industry has moved into NFTs so far is collections like what Chris Brown had. Steve Aoki had his collection. He's relatively successful in the Web3 space, but he kind of dove into it and was one of the early ones. But there's so many artists that they kind of thought they could just release these collections and make a quick buck and not put in the work and really not properly build the community. Mm-hmm. My thing actually with a big reason why those type of collections don't succeed as much. Let's use the Chris Brown collection as an example. Let's say he didn't sell 246 or whatever it was, and he did sell all 10,000. The overall ceiling of that collection, in my opinion, is only as big as Chris Brown gets compared to. So it's kind of like you're starting at the biggest icon there and you're working down for the community compared to something like, let's use the Doodles, for example. Mm-hmm. This is a brand new IP. It's starting at that base and it could only go up because it goes with the community and as more people get into it. So that's part of, and that's all really celebrity NFT collections. You're kind of, it's all reliant on how big that celebrity, that person that is the collection gets. I don't think that's the reason why NFTs in the music industry haven't and celebrity collections don't work. But just a little thought into that.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think you're right there, and it's all about having that community and being able to build it in the right way, like you say. If that fails, then where do you go next? Like you said, you need to be able to create a community and NFT projects that the people actually want, and that actually is going to really offer them utility that's going to grow and that's going to continue after the drop has actually happened. For me, I feel like NFTs and Web3 is a great way for musicians to really focus on and give great utility to their super fans. There's fans out there that they possibly wouldn't have the same connection with in Web2 that they now have the chance to have that connection with in Web3. They can, for example, buyers of his NFT could have been invited to a special VIP, speech platform on, say, Discord, where Chris Brown would be there, say, once a month to speak to anyone that owns those NFTs. They could have been invited to a gig in the real world or have ongoing ticketing through their NFT. They could turn up to certain events, that kind of thing. Really engage with them, but it just seems to have just completely missed the whole point of Web3 communities, and I think that's what's suffering at the moment. Is that integration and really letting everyone know how to transition from Web2 to Web3, what Web3 can offer that's different in the music space, and to really grow those aspects of it.
The royalty aspect is the biggest thing here in my mind, and that could be attributed to many different industries. I mean, look at actors that are in commercials and whatnot. They're getting royalties from those years after. And pretty much all creatives with things like that. That process to get paid out is very long. And I'm sure in the music industry, as all of these industries, there's a lot of different people that has to go to. The blockchain can really offer a major solution there by having it all instant. Your song is played, the writer gets their percentage, the artist gets their percentage, the record label. That is really genius and a really amazing way to look at it. I agree with you. I think that's the way we will see music and these creative industries really come into this. Something like that, though, would that have to be where like the radio stations and things like that end up getting onto the blockchain and getting involved in that sense as well?
Yeah, and I think that's what I was exactly what I was going to say. I think the technology itself needs to catch up. I think the radio stations and anyone that uses that, they need to have a system that's on the blockchain that's easy for them to integrate with, and it's going to take time for those systems to change. I mean, if you think, for example, if a well-known in the music industry is if you want to make ongoing money, you have to write a very great Christmas song because it gets played every year at Christmas. Royalties just pour in. I mean, is it Noddy Holder from Slade? I mean, the amount of money he makes, I think it's something crazy like 10 million a year or something from just his Christmas song and the royalties from that being played. But obviously, I'm sure it gets played a lot over the world, and there's radio stations where he probably hasn't received royalties from, or he hasn't received them for say 2 years ago. It takes time to come through. With the blockchain, these people will be able to get paid instantly. As soon as that track's played, there's going to be some system that realizes it's being played. It'll link to the blockchain. The blockchain will then spread out those royalties, and it's done. It's just so simple, and it's going to be really exciting when it actually comes to fruition and we get a bit further down the line. I can't see it not happening. It's just got to happen, and it's going to be amazing to see.
Yeah, it has to be a long time away, though, I would think.
Yeah.
Those industries they've been the way that they are for so many years, but with something like that really is going to offer a benefit for all parties, you got to hope that it does move a little bit faster. Part of the issue too, and I actually heard this story somewhere else, I'm not sure where, but it was a band and they were talking about like the negative connotation that NFTs and blockchain actually has right now. And the example, I don't know if you've heard this story before, but the example that they said was pretty much they said to their fans, fan base they've been building for years upon years, and they said, hey, we're going to do an NFT. Instantly got slapped with backlash because of this negative connotation. But if they went ahead and said, hey, we're going to launch, let's say, a membership token, and if you buy this, every concert you get the first 2 rows of the concert are saved for all our membership token holders. You get to cut every line. You get a free piece of merchandise every concert you go to. And then once a year, we're going to automatically send you 2 free tickets. They'll just appear in your digital wallet. People would jump all over that because it's an amazing offer. And then obviously people ask, like, how are you doing this? The answer is non-fungible token technology. But because people just think NFTs are so bad, they don't see the benefit that comes with it. Obviously that's different. That's more of a membership path. But I'm sure radio stations and things like that, and you like to think that record labels don't have that negative view because they should do the research. But it is crazy how people just don't see the benefit.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like you say, it's just that negative connotation that some people have with the word NFT at the moment. For example, a couple of weeks ago, as I'm sure you know, it was Starbucks came up with their loyalty program that features blockchain and NFT technology, but they didn't really mention NFTs in any of their marketing or anything. And the same thing happened a while back, I think, with Twitter, where you could actually, no, not Twitter, sorry, Reddit, where you could actually, use NFTs within the Reddit for profile pictures, that kind of thing. But again, they didn't mention the word NFTs. And I think in the future, this kind of technology is going to be more in the background. But people will be using blockchain without even knowing they're using blockchain. They're going to be using NFTs without even knowing it. And at the moment, for some reason, there's this negative connotation. Obviously, it has had its bad points in the past. There's been rug pulls on projects. PFP projects haven't been received as well in certain cases. But I do truly think that this kind of negative connotation is going to shake off in the long run. Whether we'll be calling them NFTs in the future, who knows? We'll see what happens. But the technology there is proven, and I think people just need to get over the fact that they have these negative connotations. And another example is with AAA gaming at the moment, say through PlayStation or Xbox. A lot of these large companies have tried to introduce NFTs kind of in the wrong way into some of these big budget games by really, I guess, in a way, trying to screw over their customers by charging them ridiculous amounts to use NFTs, when what they should be doing is integrating NFT technology without charging the customers to show them how amazing it could be integrated into games by having be able to carry over characters or special weapons over to different games, over to the next version of a game. And they just haven't managed to do that. And it's left a sour taste in the mouth of people. And I think this is why people seem to have this negative connotation sometimes when it comes to NFTs.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that just kind of early on, there was so much money to be made. And I mean, you had people rushing to Web3, creating projects, selling out, making millions, and like you said, rug pulling or just not fulfilling their roadmap. And the cool thing was to not be doxxed. So people weren't. And it kind of built like this too good to be true mindset. And it just, it built that negativeness.
Yeah.
Things are definitely getting better, which is great. People are becoming more aware, more knowledgeable on utility and stuff like that. And these conversations, that's kind of what the goal is. It's to educate people and let them know, hey, there's a lot more out there than just a profile picture of an ape.
Yeah.
And not calling out any projects or anything, but I mean, there's a ton of ape NFTs out there.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct. Education is completely key to show people exactly what Web3 can do and what it's all about. And like you say, with the downturn of the market recently, it's kind of got rid of some of the bad apples, and it's left us with people who are really building and really want to do something with that technology and really discover what utilities can be used. I mean, there's utilities that are going to be used by NFTs and Web3 in the future that we haven't even thought of yet. And that's really exciting to me. And just seeing where this community is going to grow. And like I say, I feel like we've got some great people out there at the moment concentrating on some amazing things within the technology. And it's just going to be very exciting to see what happens next.
Yeah, I think this downturn of the market is actually, I mean, yeah, it's terrible, but it's actually good. It's the cream rises to the top, and this is really making that happen even faster, which is great. So we talked about a couple different paths. Music industry, we mentioned movies, gaming. What would you say is an untapped avenue that Web3 hasn't exactly moved into yet?
Yeah,
or is primed to kind of take over?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would go back to the AAA gaming on PlayStation and Xbox, those kind of console games. I think it's absolutely prime for that to happen. Obviously, I think we have some game stores out there on PC as well. So you've got the Steam platform that I think it was something like 6 months ago, they actually banned any blockchain games or play to earn games on there, whereas you have other game stores like Epic that have really, I think recently actually they just released their first proper blockchain game throughout the platform. So they're kind of sampling it. But at the moment, I feel like it's not necessarily the play to earn games that are going to be the long term. It's going to be the AAA games that integrate this technology and like I said, where you're going to be able to move characters or items over into other games or other platforms, or share or sell. That kind of thing is going to be very interesting to see happen. But at the same time, you have to be careful, because obviously with games, there's a lot of children that play games, and you don't want it to be seen as gambling. You don't want it to be seen as them selling on the secondary market. So there's going to have to be a lot of legalities and protocols to be able to look into to actually grow in that space. And the other untapped avenue that I think is going to keep growing is utility. Like I said, it's the next big thing in Web3. We're kind of moving away from just those PFP projects. Everyone wants to know what's going to be built around the community, what are they going to be able to do, and really bring people together. I think it's fantastic, and especially with the metaverse, this growing and growing and evolving and getting better graphics. It's really going to be interesting to see how that goes, especially as technology keeps coming forward, because with more powerful computers and with cheaper computers with great graphics cards, we're going to be able to have those more realistic metaverses that everyone's after, that everyone thinks of when it comes to the metaverse. Not everyone from Web2 thinks they're going to come in and say like Roblox with its like blocky kind of platform. They don't see that. They've watched the films like Ready Player. They've watched those films and expect to put on a headset and they'll be thrown into this crazy world.
Yep.
We will get there, but it's not at the moment. We're still building towards that, so it's going to be really interesting to see where that develops to.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the gaming community would dive into NFTs and Web3 so hard, and I feel like that's the industry that hates it so much. It's crazy because, I mean, part of the issue is I think the gaming culture is really big into like memes and all of that stuff and like crowdthink, and it's really easy to, I mean, hear a funny joke about like, oh, I'll just screenshot that and everyone just like jumps on it. So I think that's part of the reason too, and just a ton of people are just uneducated. And I don't mean that to seem harsh or anything, they just haven't learned yet. But yeah, I thought that was going to be like a match made in heaven, and then it just isn't. But I agree with you. I think that is an industry that will really find their place in Web3, and it will be a major factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And for me, it's one of the other avenues is definitely the physical aspect as well. I just feel like that part of the utility when it comes to NFTs, being able to combine the physical and the digital, is just going to be really booming in the future. I mean, we don't want to just be completely in the metaverse. We don't want to just be completely online. We want to be able to integrate the real world and the digital world, and I think that's going to be how that's going to happen through the physical and digital aspects.
Yeah, let's talk about Real Nifty a little bit. You're the CEO of the company. Yeah, what is Real Nifty?
Sure, no, that's great. So, like I said earlier, like for me, what fascinated me the most is the physical and digital aspects of NFTs and how we can integrate that. My first introduction, as I said earlier, was with the physical digital Kings of Leon drop, and I realised there was a need to improve how physical and digital reacted to each other and really make it a lot more usable. And so that's when I met the founder of Real Nifty. He was on exactly the same wavelength of me just over a year and a half ago. And so we decided to grow Real Nifty in this direction. So we started off as an NFT agency, which was focusing on trying to help creatives grow their NFT projects. So focus on the creative aspects, the marketing, the strategizing. We have a great web development team who can build the smart contracts and Web3 elements into the website or the platforms that we're using. And it's been a fantastic journey for us in the NFT agency respect. And last year we did an amazing NFT drop, which was both physical and digital, with an artist called Matt Vey, who created over 1,000 mosaic pieces, 3 centimeters by 3 centimeter pieces. And what we designed, which hadn't been done before, was a digital 3x3 grid. where if you collected 9 of these pieces, you could put them into this grid online. You can move them into a design of your choice, and then you could what we call crystallize, which means NFT would be created of that design you made, and that would also be sent to the artist, who would then fuse those pieces, those matching pieces together in the real world, and then send that out to you in the real world. So you'd end up with a physical and digital matching NFT, which was fantastic to see come to life. And we sold out our first drop of 200, which was fantastic, and we're at the moment deciding what to do next on that current project. But it just showed us like we were on the right wavelength of we were going in the right direction with the physical and digital, and we started looking into what we could do next. And so that comes to the next part of Real Nifty of what we're currently building at the moment, which is an NFT marketplace. And we're looking to launch this in a couple of months' time. And this marketplace is actually focused on both the physical and digital, as Real Nifty always has been. And we're starting off as a curated marketplace, and with more of a focus on fine art and also some photography as well. And then with a plan to move into, say, fashion, sports, and other collectibles areas as well. So yeah, we've already got 5 launch artists lined up for that, and what we're really focusing on in this marketplace is embedding physical logistics solutions directly into the marketplace, which we feel hasn't really been realized yet out there in such a grand scale. If you go to platforms like, say, OpenSea, and there's a physical element attached to an NFT that you're able to redeem, you either have to follow a link to another website, which shows a friction right there. A lot of people don't trust being sent to links elsewhere. And then you have to trust someone as well. You have to trust someone to be able to send you that piece and be in constant messaging with them sometimes, for example, just over email. And we felt that's a disconnect and not very usable. So we're working with a logistics company that as soon as you redeem the physical piece on our marketplace, you'll be able to use this company to straight from the marketplace input all your details, make sure you've got your insurance covered, and it will be handled directly through there. So there's going to be no going to other links, no going elsewhere, and it should be a frictionless system that we haven't really seen on a whole marketplace and being used before. So yeah, it's something we're really excited for, and we really want to make sure we're an educational hub as well, where we can embrace people that are taking their first steps into Web3 as well as those that are Web3 native, which we feel is important, obviously, when we're dealing with fine art drops or fine art NFTs, where people might not be as well versed in what Web3 can do.
Yeah, that is really great. I mean, it definitely sets you apart from the other marketplaces out there, focusing on the digital and physical aspect of it. I see you guys on social media all the time, hosting numerous Twitter spaces, LinkedIn events. I mean, first of all, whoever is running your social is doing a great job, because you guys are definitely getting the word out. You mentioned about education. What are you guys doing as a company that is helping Web3 achieve mass adoption?
Yeah, so for me, it all comes back to the ethos of our company. I mean, if I take you back to our Mosaic NFT drop again, that was one of our first NFT drops to feature fine art, and we realised there was a lot of people that we're connecting with that were in the fine art world and didn't really know how to use Web3. So we were literally, our team have been fantastic, and we were literally even on the phone to some people, helping them set up a MetaMask account so they could purchase these mosaic pieces. And we just really want to educate people. So we are literally on the front line teaching people how to do it. And like you say, with our Twitter spaces and LinkedIn audio events, we're there to teach people of what we're about and who we are. And we're making, for the website launch, we're going to have a lot of YouTube videos and guides of how to use the technology, what Web3, we'll go from the basics from what Web3 is to how to set up a MetaMask wallet, to transferring crypto to your wallet, and then we'll go to how to use the marketplace as well. And we're going to have a very in-depth Q&A section. We're going to be able to be contacted, like 24/7. You can reach out to me. As you probably know, I love LinkedIn. It's a platform that I think is brilliant, and you can get me on there anytime. We're just very open to people asking questions, and I think any company in Web3 needs to be that and needs to focus on those that are transitioning, because that's the majority of people at the moment. Web3 is only taken up by, say, I don't know, probably not even 5% of the world's population. And to grow that, we need to show people what it's all about, and help that mass adoption to be delivered.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys are definitely going in the right direction. The educational aspect, in my mind, is the biggest part of it, along with what you're saying, the customer service aspect.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm shocked at how many companies, especially tech companies, it kind of is a hurdle that you have to jump over just to talk with someone and ask those questions. And when you're learning a new industry, Web3 is confusing. It's scary for new people. So you guys, I really think you're taking all the right steps to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's great to hear. And like I say, this will come with time. It's going to take time to get people to understand Web3. But as it progresses, as it gets bigger, a lot of the technology will kind of go into the background, and it's going to be easier for people to use. But with education at the moment, I think what we're doing is bringing people into Web3 that want to be here and that want to learn and want to build. And we're going to have so many more people who are going to be figuring out ideas and growing within the industry. So it's really about not just introducing people how to use Web3, but being able to find people that want to build and want to improve that technology.
So do you guys have a date that you expect the marketplace to launch, or some type of timeline there?
Yeah, we're hoping for around the November timeline at the moment to be sort of opening in our beta. So we're just we're just going through our build at the moment. We're ironing out all the kinks. We're doing some testing. We're making sure it's very usable, as that's our main thing. We want to make sure that everyone's going to be able to use it, whether you're Web 2 crossing over or your Web3. So like a lot of companies out there, we want to make sure it's going to be a platform that's very secure, very easy to use. And obviously, we're going to evolve over time. There's going to be added features that are going to be added in when we realize that people want that. And we want to obviously make it very easy. So you want to integrate that fiat payment system as well as being able to pay for crypto. So whether that's in version 1 or version 2, to be decided yet, but it's something that we're very prominent with and really want to make sure comes to fruition sooner rather than later. And on that aspect as well, we really want to make sure we build a strong community, and that's why we're going to integrate a messaging service within the platform. So especially in the fine art world, we want to be able to allow people to contact these curators and ask more questions about their artwork. I feel that's very important, to not just have a description on the platform, but be able to contact those curators, whether it's through the marketplace itself, whether there's going to be like a Discord channel or another place where you can contact these artists and creatives. I think we want to bring that sense of community back and want to really have people really collaborate and ask questions and just really have a good time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that sounds really great. I'm excited for that. And I mean, November is right around the corner, which is exciting. I'm sure there are stresses that come with that for you as well. But yeah, that is really exciting. Jamie, it was great talking with you. I guess to wrap things up, tell the people where they could find you, what's your website, where they could follow you, and any updates on Real Nifty.
Yeah, that's great. So our website is realnifty.xyz. You can find me on LinkedIn mostly. It's a great platform for connecting and figuring out about Web3, as well as connecting with all those people within the industry. So just I'm Jamie Parmenter on LinkedIn. Come and find me, come and follow me. And as Shane said earlier, we always host a lot of Twitter events, usually every Thursday at the moment. And yeah, we started doing more audio events on LinkedIn too. So the more people, the merrier. It's great to have you there.
Perfect. Jamie, great speaking with you. Everyone, thank you for watching. This is another episode of Okay, What's Next? Hit the follow button. Go find Jamie on LinkedIn, and we'll see you guys next time.
What's next? What's next? What's next?
If you enjoyed the content in this episode, make sure to check out our entire channel. Check out our socials. Check out our streams. We're talking about good stuff all day. Follow, like, subscribe. We'll talk to you guys next time.